92.7 WOBM, Shawn Michaels in with you. And this morning we're talking about a topic that makes every parent's stomach turn and cringe. We're talking about bullying. And right now joining us is author Katie Hurley. Now, she is a child and adolescent psychotherapist, parenting expert, and writer. She's the founder of Girls Can empowerment groups for girls between the ages of 5 and 11, and the author of The Happy Kid Handbook. Today, she talks to us about her latest, No More Mean Girls, the secret to raising strong, confident, and compassionate girls. Katie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk about bullying, and we'll start off with the idea of developing friendships and healthy relationships. How can we better do this with our kids?
Well, one thing we're finding right now is that kids are living in such competitive times, and they're doing so much. They're so overscheduled. They're doing every single sport and all this different stuff. They don't have time to just practice friendship skills the way that we used to 30 years ago. We don't send them outside to just find friends and do stuff. So it's really important that parents kind of slow down and talk to kids about what it means to be a good friend. What do you do if someone isn't being a good friend? How do you join a group that's already at play? Oftentimes kids feel left out because they don't know how to slip in and out of groups. That's a social skill that we need all the way well through adulthood. So we really need to be proactive about teaching kids how to spark friendships and how to care for friendships.
And I guess in a way, when you look at it, there are so many, competitive levels to kids growing up now, whether it's sports or whether it's, going to theater, whether it's music. I mean, even art can be competitive, I guess, to a degree. Do all these competitive, parts of life make it hard for them to find just a normal friendship because everybody's, competing against each other?
They do, absolutely. I say all the time, I travel around the country talking to parents, and I say all the time, our kids here in America specifically are dealing with toxic competition. It's very difficult to make a best friend or a good friend or just a regular old friend when you're constantly pitted against that friend. And we have, people like to joke about it, but the real truth is that parents on the sidelines of all these things, the sports and the art programs, are kind of yelling and screaming and be better, do better, win, get to the top. We think this is what is going to make our kids successful. What the research tells us is that those things are not going to make our kids successful, but being kind, empathic, compassionate, good human beings is what's going to make our kids successful down the line.
All right, so let's talk about this. We're talking with Katie Hurley today about bullying and about creating better, friendships and so forth. Let's talk about building self-esteem in our kids and the courage to stand up for themselves and others, because, this is a backbone, I guess, of, being a good person is having good self-esteem, right?
That's absolutely right. And self-esteem is very closely linked to assertiveness skills. So kids who feel better about themselves are more able to assert themselves and stand up to negativity that they might see at school or on the field or wherever. Kids who don't feel as good about themselves and are unsure of themselves tend to clam up and struggle to find the right words even when they know that something isn't right. So it's really important to work on both of those things. Now, the single most important thing parents can do in terms of helping kids build self-esteem is listen to their kids. We plug them into these programs because they're available and everyone else is doing them, and we think it's going to get them into Harvard in 10 years' time. But the truth is they're not all going to Harvard, and they don't all like these things. And I can't tell you how many kids sit on my couch and say, I really don't want to play soccer. I just don't like it. We have to listen to kids and say, well, what would you like to do? And sometimes kids are going to say things like, well, I want to hang out at home and draw or play with my toys or just have friends over to play. That's okay. Years and years ago, for hundreds of years, we were all raised that way. It's this generation of kids that's being told, no, you have to be better, do more things, collect more accolades. So it's important to listen to their wants and hear them when they speak and support their dreams. My daughter is an Irish dancer. I have absolutely no dance skills and know nothing about this sport, but it's what she likes. So I'm learning. I'm learning with her, and I'm watching, and I'm cheering her on. We've got to be able to do that and accept that some kids are going to go off the beaten track, and that's okay and good even.
As we wrap up, there's another part to this that I find interesting, and this will probably help parents too. You talk about managing stress and getting rid of negative energy, but not in the form of bullying. In other words, not hurting others.
Right.
I guess we need to help our kids be able to de-stress just like we do, right?
Absolutely. Our kids are really ill-equipped to handle any kind of stress, and because they're dealing with academic pressure and all sorts of pressures, they end up taking it out on one another. We need to teach them deep breathing. We need to help them figure out what they like to do to de-stress. I want to sit back and read a book, but my 9-year-old son is going to want to go outside and shoot hoops to get that energy out. So we need to give them the opportunity and teach them the skills. How do you verbalize your feelings? Are you going to journal it? Do you want to write it down on a piece of paper and stick it in a worry box? What kinds of things can we do to get those feelings out and help them learn to cope so that they don't take it out on other people?
The book is called No More Mean Girls, The Secret to Raising Strong, Confident, and Compassionate Girls, but I guess it goes for the boys as well. You could cross-platform this. How do we get a hold of the
Absolutely.
book, Katie?
The book is available everywhere books are sold. Please go to your mom and pop indie bookstore if you can. I would love it if you would do that, but it's available everywhere, and you can find out more about me on practicalkatie.com.
Very good. Katie Hurley, thanks so much for joining us and talking about a topic I don't think our parents can get enough info on. It. Bullying is a problem. We need to deal with it. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, there she is, Katie Hurley. Get more details on our website at WOBM.com.